Urologist reveals, use this oil below the belt for amazing results in 7 days men 60 plus should know.
What if I told you that a part of your body one you may have quietly mourned as past its prime might still be listening? Not just listening, but waiting. Waiting for a signal, for care, for your attention again. I've had men in their 60s, 70s, even their 80s walk into my office, eyes cast down, shoulders slightly curled inward, and say some version of this, "Doc, I think that part of me is just done." But here's the thing, it rarely is. Not because of a miracle drug, not because of surgery or injections or fancy blue pills, but because your body hasn't forgotten how to feel. It's simply gone quiet after years of stress, stillness, and being ignored. And what brings it back might surprise you. A single oil, a simple ritual, a few minutes each day with your own two hands. No shame, no rush, just a quiet return to a part of yourself that's been fading in the background. Let's walk through this together, one small step at a time. You're not too late. You're still here. And your body is too. Now, before we begin, go ahead and tap subscribe so you don't miss the next message your body's been waiting to hear. Part 1. It's not just in your head. It's in your circulation. Ever sit on the edge of your bed in the morning and feel like something's missing? Not pain, not illness, just a quiet sense that part of you isn't waking up the way it used to. That was Gerald, 68, from Kansas. A retired firefighter, built like a barrel, hands like tree trunks. But one morning over coffee, he told me, "Doc, it's like I've gone emotionally and physically numb below the belt. And I don't mean just in bed. I don't even feel like myself anymore." Now picture this. You've still got your house. Your heart's beating. Your mind's sharp. But your connection to that one place, your core identity as a man, has quietly unplugged, and no one talks about it. Let me explain why this matters. As we age, the tiny blood vessels in the lower pelvis, the capillaries and arteries that used to flood your manhood with oxygen-rich blood, start to narrow and stiffen. And it's not just about performance. It's about sensitivity, warmth, even self-recognition. The nerves in that region become less responsive too, like a radio turned down too low to hear. But here's the truth. I wish more older men knew this isn't your fault. It's not weakness. It's not failure. It's biology, and biology that can be gently reminded how to come back to life. I've seen it happen in my own father, and in hundreds of men who simply stopped expecting their body to show up for them until we invited it back. So let me ask you something personal, just between us. When was the last time you touched that part of your body not to judge it, but to care for it? When was the last time you treated it as something still alive instead of something fading? Stay with me, because in a moment, I'll share the story of one man who did just that using something he already had in his kitchen. Part 2. Gerald's hands. Rosemary oil and a second sunrise. Gerald was 72 when he walked into my office. Vietnam vet, tough as leather, the kind of man who fixes his own plumbing, never asks for help, and still stands during the national anthem even when his knees ache. But that day, he didn't come in for his knees. He came in because, in his words, something down there just stopped listening. He wasn't angry. He wasn't even embarrassed. Just sad. Like a man who'd quietly folded up a part of himself and put it on the shelf years ago. Now, here's where the story turns. I asked him one question. Would you be willing to try something you can't buy at the pharmacy? He gave me that skeptical veteran squint. Then I handed him a small bottle of sweet almond oil and a few drops of rosemary essential oil. Rub it on the lower pelvis, the groin, just above the pubic bone. Every night, like you're waking something up. Not forcing it, just saying, "Hey, I remember you." And Gerald did it. He didn't expect much, but on day 3, he called me, said it felt like lightning under the skin. Not painful, not arousing, just alive. Let me explain why that happened. Rosemary oil contains something called rosmarinic acid. It's been shown to help dilate blood vessels and reduce inflammation. But even more fascinating, this little herb interacts with nerve endings, gently stimulating blood flow and sensation without pressure or heat. Add a carrier oil like almond or coconut, and you're giving that forgotten skin a gentle, nourishing invitation to feel again. And that's what Gerald felt. Not a miracle. Not a 20-year-old's libido, but presence. He later told me, "Doc, I started walking taller. Not because anything changed overnight, but because it felt like I was back in my body." It wasn't just about the oil. It was about attention, ritual, respect.
And here's what I believe with all my heart. When you reestablish contact with that part of yourself, not for sex, not for performance, but for care, something shifts. Your body remembers, and your spirit rises with it. We'll talk about how to do this the right way in a moment. But first, let's talk about what not to do, because most men mess this part up. Part 3. The most common mistake men make and how to avoid it. Let me tell you about Frank. He's 66, a retired trucker from Missouri. Wore flannel in summer, drank his coffee black, and once told me his idea of skincare was using the same soap for everything from head to heel. When I gave Frank a bottle of rosemary oil and explained how to use it, he grinned and said, "So just slap it on and go." "Right." I smiled. "Frank," I said, "if you rush through it like changing a tire, you're going to miss the whole point." See, this is where most men over 60 go wrong. They treat the practice like a chore, a task, something to get over with. But the male body, especially after 60, doesn't respond to force or speed. It responds to attention, presence, and patience. Let me walk you through what I teach all my patients, including my dad. You start with a warm shower. Not hot, just warm enough to open your pores and soften the skin. Dry off. Then mix your oil, 1 tablespoon of sweet almond oil, and 3-5 drops of rosemary essential oil. Rub it gently between your palms. Let it warm in your hands. That warmth is your first signal to the body, "I'm here. I care." Now comes the massage. Not rubbing, not scrubbing. Just slow, steady circles. Start above the pubic bone, then the groin, the inner thighs. Move with intention, not to arouse, but to reconnect. I tell my patients, touch yourself like you would a child's forehead, tenderly, like you're checking for a fever. And breathe. Out through the mouth, in through the nose. You're not just applying oil. You're telling your nervous system you're safe, you're home. Frank called me after a week, said, "Doc, I didn't think rubbing oil on myself would make me cry. But it did." He hadn't touched that part of his body with kindness in 20 years. And when he did, he didn't just feel down there. He felt like himself again. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this: your body still listens. It just needs you to speak its language. And that language isn't rough. It's gentle. It's regular. It's real. Now, what happens next might surprise you, Because if you do this for just 7 days, your body may start talking back. Let me show you what that looks like, day by day. Part 4, what happens in just 7 days? The quiet comeback. I get it. You're thinking, 7 days. Come on, Doc, I've been like this for years, but stay with me because what I've seen in my practice again and again is that a body doesn't need a miracle. It just needs a signal. Let me tell you about Raymond, 70 retired teacher from Arizona, sharp mind, quick wit, but he carried this heaviness in his voice. Doc, he told me, I don't even remember the last time I woke up with morning wood. I figured that chapter closed a long time ago. So I gave him the rosemary oil routine. He promised to give it one honest week. Here's what happened. Day 1, he didn't feel much physically, but emotionally, he said it felt like a door cracked open. Just putting my hands there without shame felt strange and good. He told me. Day 2, 3, he noticed a faint warmth in the mornings, not heat, not arousal, just something stirring, blood beginning to move, tissue remembering what it once did without effort. Day 4 to 5, he told me, Doc, it feels like my skin is alive again, light tingling, easier stimulation, a return of that subtle, masculine current under the surface. Day 6, his mood shifted. He started standing taller. He looked in the mirror and saw a man, not a patient, not a symptom, but himself. Day 7, he described it as a homecoming. The area felt fuller, warmer, more responsive. His wife even asked, Did you change cologne? But it wasn't scent, it was energy. Now let me break this down gently. What's happening here isn't magic, it's biology remembering itself. Blood vessels begin to open, nerves begin to fire again. Testosterone, the hormone of vitality, begins to circulate a little more freely when you engage your body. But more importantly, your confidence, your sense of self begins to thaw out after years of silent frost. This is what I call the mirror moment. When you see not just a man aging, but a man returning. So, what if you could take this even further? What if this wasn't the end of a 7-day experiment, but the beginning of something deeper? Let me show you how to amplify these results using 3 more oils nature gave us. You might have one of them in your kitchen right now. Part 5, the Power Trio Oils that speak the body's language. Raymond was stunned by how quickly his body responded. So when he asked, Doc, is there anything that could make this even better? I smiled. Yes, Raymond. Nature didn't stop at rosemary. See, rosemary oil is a great opener. It wakes the tissue, stirs the nerves, invites blood to return. But like any good team, rosemary works best with backup. Let me introduce you to what I call the Power Trio. 3 oils that, when used with care, can take your results from warm embers to a steady glow, glowing fire. The first, ginger oil. Yes, the same root that adds kick to your stir fry can awaken parts of your body you thought were long gone. Ginger is a natural circulatory stimulant. When applied topically in small amounts, it gently warms the area and encourages deeper blood flow. Think of it like knocking on the door that Rosemary just unlocked. Not banging, just knocking softly, saying, Hey, we're still alive in here. One of my patients, Martin, 71 from Vermont, called it his spark plug. He said it made him feel 10 years younger below the belt and 5 years lighter above it. The second oil, lavender. Now hold on before you roll your eyes and say, Doc, that's my wife's pillow spray. Hear me out. Lavender is misunderstood. While it's famous for sleep, it's also one of the most powerful natural relaxants we know, intention especially in your pelvic floor.
inner thighs, and lower back is one of the silent enemies of circulation. Lavender calms the nervous system, softens tight muscles, and tells your body, "You're safe now. You can let go." One man told me he hadn't realized how clenched he'd been for years until he used lavender oil. He said, "It wasn't just physical. I'd been holding stress in that part of my body for decades." The third oil, black seed oil. This one's ancient, used in Middle Eastern medicine for centuries. Rich in antioxidants, anti-inflammatory compounds, and hormone balancing properties. When massaged into the lower abdomen and groin, it supports testosterone balance and nourishes tissue at a cellular level. I think of it as the wise elder in the trio, not flashy, but quietly powerful. Together, these oils create a full spectrum ritual, rosemary to wake, ginger to ignite, lavender to relax, black seed to restore. Now don't worry, this isn't complicated. Just mix a tablespoon of almond or coconut oil with 3 drops rosemary, 2 drops ginger, and 1 drop of either lavender or black seed oil. Warm it in your hands. Breathe. Massage with the same slow circles I taught you before. And here's the beauty. You can adjust it depending on what your body needs that day. More energy. Add a drop of ginger. More calm. Swap in lavender. Need deeper healing. Use black seed. You're not fixing a machine. You're nurturing a relationship. And relationships take tuning, not tools. But even the best oils need one more thing to work their magic. You. Specifically, your daily attention. Let's talk now about how to make this a true habit, not a one-week experiment, but a lifelong return to yourself. Part 6. The hidden habits that hold you back and how to gently change them. Let me tell you something hard but necessary. The biggest obstacle I see in men over 60 isn't physical. It's emotional. It's the silent surrender. That slow, invisible decision to stop expecting more from your body, to stop reaching for intimacy. To stop believing you still matter below the belt. I saw this in Arthur. 75, a soft-spoken widower from Michigan. He came in for a routine checkup, but I could tell something else was weighing him down. After a moment of hesitation, he said, "Doc, I don't even look at myself anymore. I just don't see a man." That hit me in the chest, because I've heard versions of that from hundreds of men. They're not angry. They're not broken. They've just stopped hoping. And here's the truth. I told Arthur the same truth I'm telling you now. You haven't lost your manhood. You've lost your attention to it, and you can take it back. But we have to remove what's been working against you. Let's start simple. First, get up and move just a little. I'm not asking you to join a gym. Just 5 minutes of gentle walking before or after you do your oil routine. It helps bring blood to the pelvis and signals your body to stay alive there. Second, stretch your thighs and hips slowly. With intention, imagine you're gently wringing out a towel that's been stiff for years. That's your circulation. You're coaxing it back, not forcing it. Third, breathe. I mean really breathe. Deep into your belly. The diaphragm and pelvic floor are connected. When you breathe fully, your lower body wakes up. And lastly, stop hiding from yourself. Keep the oil where you can see it, not in a drawer. Make your massage a visible part of your evening, like brushing your teeth or kissing your spouse goodnight. Arthur did this for just 2 weeks, one night, as he told me later. He looked at himself in the mirror and smiled. Not because anything looked dramatically different, but because he felt present again. I didn't feel old, he said. I felt aware. That's the shift we're after. Not just stimulation or sensation, but reconnection. You're not doing this to fix yourself. You're doing this to remind your body and your soul that it's still home. And if you stay consistent, that feeling becomes part of your identity again. Now, let's bring this full circle, because what starts as a 5-minute ritual can become something much bigger, something that changes the way you see yourself every single day. Part 7, from routine to renewal. Making this a way of life. By now, you might be wondering, is this something I do for a week? Then stop. And my answer is gentle, but firm, only if you want your body to stop listening again. Let me tell you about James. He's 66 and a former truck driver from West Virginia. Straight talker, wore a ball cap everywhere, even in church. He tried the oil massage as a let's see if this is real experiment. 1 week, then 2. He came back into my office a month later and said something I'll never forget, Doc. This ain't a trick anymore. It's a part of my day. Like coffee, like saying grace. I feel like I live in my body again. That's the magic of consistency. Healing doesn't shout, it whispers. And when you show up every day, even for 5 minutes, your body starts to believe you again. So how do you make this stick? You attach it to something you already do. Maybe it's after your evening shower. Maybe it's the quiet moment before you brush your teeth at night. Maybe it's while listening to a favorite song from your younger days, something that reminds you of who you still are underneath all the noise. Don't make it fancy. No candles or expensive oils needed. Just your breath, your hands, and the willingness to be present. And don't panic if you miss a day. This isn't a test. It's a relationship. Some mornings you'll feel powerful. Others, quiet. But every time you show up, you're saying, I'm still here. I still matter. This part of me still matters, and your body hears that. Over time, that quiet routine becomes a rhythm, like tying your shoes, like calling an old friend, like kissing your spouse goodnight. James told me. It's like I finally returned to my own skin. That's the kind of transformation no pill can give you. Not just function, but presence. Not just feeling, but being. And if you've made it this far in the video, I believe you're ready for that.
Ready to let this be more than a test. Ready to let it become yours. But before we close, I want to speak directly to you from one man to another, from one heart to another. Because what you're about to hear may just change how you see aging forever.
My friend, if you've been listening closely, then you already know this was never just about an oil. It's about the quiet parts of your body and your identity that have been waiting for you to knock on the door again. Let's gently recap what we've uncovered today. First, we talked about how blood flow, sensitivity, and self-connection often fade with age, not from weakness, but from disuse and neglect. Then we explored how rosemary oil, when combined with simple presence and movement, can help reawaken those quiet places again. We met men like Gerald, Frank, and James, each one carrying a different story, yet united by one longing to feel alive again. And we discovered the vital trio ginger, lavender, and black seed that can add fire, calm, and deep nourishment to this journey. But more than any oil, this is about what happens when you decide to show up for yourself. You don't have to become 25 again. You just have to stop disappearing from yourself.
This little 5-minute ritual isn't about vanity or performance. It's about dignity. It's about remembering that your body still has stories to tell, that it's still listening, still reacting, still wanting to matter. You've carried children. You've worked hard. You've stayed quiet when you were hurting. And through all that, your body stayed with you. Isn't it time you returned the favor? So tonight, when the house is still and the lights are low, take a breath, warm the oil in your palms, place your hands where you've perhaps been afraid to feel, and just say, without judgment or shame, I'm here. I still care. You still matter. That, right there, is healing. Not noise, not fireworks. Just the soft, sacred return of a man to himself. If this video stirred something in you, if it made you remember or hope or feel, please share it with another man you care about. Type I'm here in the comments below. Not for me, for you.
And if you want to keep walking this road of quiet strength and honest restoration, make sure you're subscribed. There's more to come, because this is just the beginning. Welcome back.